The Zeist collective was a monument to singular purpose. Across 1,000 star systems, their chitinous bodies moved in perfect synchronicity, their multifaceted eyes reflecting the unwavering light of the hive mind. Individuality, to the Zeist, was a biological error, a chaotic deviation from the optimal path. Concepts like leisure, passion projects, or hobbies were utterly alien, logged in their vast shared consciousness as prime examples of the wasteful inefficiencies that plagued lesser, individualistic species like humans. Humans, with their messy emotions and bewildering array of seemingly pointless personal pursuits, were a subject of mild, almost clinical, curiosity for the Zeist. The collective's analysts catalogued human behaviors with a detached interest one might reserve for studying slime mold pathing, intriguing in its randomness, but ultimately inefficient and lacking true direction. The idea that anything of strategic value could arise from such disorganized, self-indulgent activities was, to the Zeist, logically absurd. On the remote, ice-crusted moon of Xylos Epsilon, a small human research outpost, designated Icebox Alpha, huddled beneath a reinforced geodesic dome. Its primary mission was astrometrics and deep space particle analysis. The crew, a mere 37 souls, were scientists, engineers, and support staff. Life was monotonous, the work demanding, and the isolation profound. To combat the crushing boredom and maintain mental acuity, the inhabitants of Icebox Alpha engaged in various hobbies. Dr. Aris Thorne, a brilliant but restless astrophysicist, spent his off hours meticulously constructing miniature starships. His current project was a 1/200th scale replica of a Zeist scout vessel, pieced together from declassified, heavily pixelated reconnaissance images and speculative technical drawings found on obscure interspecies data nets. He wasn't a spy. He was just fascinated by alien ship design, the challenge of replicating their strange, insected aesthetics from memory and limited data. His friend, Lena Hansen, a software engineer who maintained the outpost's complex sensor arrays, had developed a rudimentary physics engine and tactical simulation program in her spare time. She'd initially built it to model asteroid trajectories, but Aris had convinced her to adapt it for his models. Now they, along with a few other enthusiasts like retired military strategist Marcus Cole, now chief of outpost security, and young, excitable geologist Priya Sharma, would spend hours running simulated skirmishes. They'd pit Aris's models, human cruisers, pirate cutters, and increasingly Zeist ships, against each other, debating hypothetical weapon yields, shield frequencies, and engine capabilities. It was, to them, an elaborate, engaging game. Unseen, unheard, a Zeist deep-range stealth drone, no larger than a human fist, clung to the outer hull of Icebox Alpha for 3 standard rotations. Its optical sensors, capable of penetrating the dome's shielding to a limited degree, recorded hours of human activity. The hive mind processed the data. Observation log. Human unit designated Icebox Alpha. Drone the collective consciousness. Subgroup engages in repetitive, non-productive manual fabrication of miniature, non-functional Zeist form vessels. Activity consumes significant temporal units. Subsequently, these effigies are manipulated in simulated conflict scenarios using primitive computational interfaces. Resource expenditure. High. Practical output. Nil. Conclusion. Confirms established profile of Homo sapiens. Penchant for ritualized, inefficient play. No strategic value. The drone detached, its mission complete. The Zeist hive mind filed the observation away, another data point confirming their inherent superiority in focus and efficiency. Soon, the collective would demonstrate that superiority on a galactic scale. For cycles, the Zeist had been preparing. A new offensive was planned, targeting the strategically vital Kepler system, currently under the protection of the Terran Alliance. The Zeist had developed new shield modulation frequencies, novel squadron formations designed for rapid penetration, and a series of linked cyber warfare attacks intended to cripple human command and control systems. These innovations were born from pure Zeist logic, developed in utmost secrecy. The hive mind was confident. The humans, with their scattered focus and emotional decision-making, would be overwhelmed. The Zeist fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system like a swarm of polished obsidian daggers. Hundreds of their sleek, predatory vessels, from agile interceptors to massive hive carriers, moved with the unnerving precision only a collective consciousness could achieve. Swarm Commander Zekrel, a designated node of the hive mind, temporarily given tactical oversight, felt the familiar thrum of inevitable logical victory. All units, Zekrel's directive echoed through the fleet's shared network. Initiate Phase 1. Shattered glass formation. Target primary human defense platforms. Deploy shield breaker drones. Cyber warfare units commence disruption. The Zeist interceptors, arranged in a complex, rapidly shifting lattice designed to confuse enemy targeting systems, surged forward. Their energy weapons began to lance out towards the distant human ships. But the human response was wrong. Instead of the anticipated confusion, instead of scattered, panic maneuvers, the Terran defense fleet moved with a calm, almost preternatural understanding. Their ships, outnumbered but not outmaneuvered, shifted formation, not to counter the shattered glass directly, but to exploit its inherent, calculated weaknesses, weaknesses the Zeist themselves had only identified in the most classified theoretical analyses. Anomaly detected, a subnode of Zekrel reported, a flicker of something akin to surprise rippling through the hive mind. Human targeting solutions are optimal. Their energy dispersal patterns are counterphase to our new shield frequencies. Zekrel watched, a cold knot forming in its processing core, as Zeist shield breaker drones, their design a closely guarded secret, were systematically intercepted and destroyed by human point defense systems that seemed to anticipate their exact attack vectors. The much-vaunted cyber warfare assault, designed to sow chaos, met an unexpectedly robust and adaptive digital defense. Human networks rerouted, firewalls shifted, and the Zeist intrusion programs were quarantined and neutralized with bewildering speed. Swarm Commander, another node pulsed urgently. Their capital ships are reconfiguring weapon power. They are targeting the primary joint stress points on our cruiser-class vessels. This vulnerability, it was only identified in simulation run K-77 Alpha. That data is restricted to hive core clearance. Panic and emotion the Zeist had long believed themselves to have purged began to seep into the collective consciousness. Their novel tactics were being deconstructed and countered as if the humans possessed the Zeist's own battle plans. Their secret, technological advantages were being nullified. It was impossible. It defied all logic. On Icebox Alpha, months earlier, Eris Thorne had frowned at a blurry, magnified segment of a Zeist cruiser's hull from a public domain long-range observation photo. "See this seam here, Marcus," he'd said, pointing with a pair of tweezers at his latest model. "If their internal superstructure follows standard insectoid exoskeletal design principles, and assuming they use tristrontium alloy for primary load-bearing, this point would be incredibly vulnerable to sustained, focused particle fire, especially if you hit it from this vector." Marcus Cole, the ex-military man, had nodded slowly. "Interesting. Lena, can you model that stress tolerance in your sim? Let's say, against a standard human plasma cannon burst, focused to a point 5 centimeters wide." Priya Sharma, poring over equally blurry spectral analysis of Zeist engine trails, another pointless hobby, had chimed in, and their new engine signatures suggest a shift in hypercoolant. If they're using a cryomethane base, like that rumored Zeist prototype sighting near the Ghost Nebula, then a rapid thermal shock right after an engine burn could cause catastrophic feedback. Like, say, if a small, fast missile hit the exhaust port just so. They had incorporated these what-ifs into their games. Lena's simulation, initially crude, had become surprisingly sophisticated as she, Aris, and others fed it more and more of these educated guesses, these extrapolations born from their diverse fields of expertise and fueled by sheer, obsessive curiosity. They debated energy signatures, armor compositions, potential command structures, all based on fragments of information, logical deduction, and a healthy dose of wouldn't it be cool if. Their meticulously crafted models, their detailed paint jobs mimicking Zeist camouflage patterns they'd only theorized about, their endless hours spent wargaming different scenarios. It hadn't been just play. It had been a distributed, subconscious, and astonishingly effective intelligence gathering and strategic analysis operation, conducted by a handful of bored scientists on a remote moon, all under the guise of a harmless hobby. The data from their games, including detailed theoretical counter-strategies and potential Zeist vulnerabilities, had been logged on the outpost's main server, as per standard procedure for any crew-developed software. When the Zeist attack on Kepler began, Terran Alliance High Command, in its desperation, had cast a wide net for any data, however obscure, that might offer an edge. An AI sifting through trillions of bytes of information flagged the Icebox Alpha simulation logs. The file name was innocuous: Project Miniwar V3, 7LN at MCPS, SIMDAT. Initially dismissed, a desperate analyst, hours into the Zeist onslaught and seeing familiar enemy formations, had pulled it up. The Zeist shattered glass formation was right there on page 1 of Marcus Cole's tactical notes, along with 3 different, highly effective counters. The new shield frequencies. Aris Thorne had theorized something similar after noticing subtle energy fluctuations in Zeist transmissions, and Lena had coded a counterpulse into their game. The cyber warfare tactics. Priya, who also dabbled in ancient human coding languages for fun, had recognized patterns in Zeist public data transmissions that hinted at their underlying network architecture. The Zeist fleet was being systematically dismantled. Zekrel, its command authority fracturing under the weight of incomprehensible failure, ordered a general retreat. The hive mind recoiled, a billion minds screaming one silent question: how? It was a captured Zeist drone, recovered from the Icebox Alpha mission months prior, and only now fully analyzed by Terran intelligence, that provided the missing piece. Its logs detailed the human play, the model building, the simulations. Cross-referenced with the Kepler battle data, the horrifying truth dawned on the Zeist. Their most secret strategies, their most advanced technologies, had not been stolen by spies or revealed by traitors. They had been reverse-engineered, predicted, and countered by a handful of human hobbyists on a frozen moon, driven by nothing more than curiosity and the desire to make their games more realistic. The sheer mind-boggling inefficiency of it, the idea that such profound strategic insight could emerge from something so pointless, was a blow to the very core of Zeist philosophy. The Zeist collective, for the first time in its long history, felt something akin to fear. Not fear of human weapons or numbers, but fear of the human mind itself, its chaotic, unpredictable, and terrifyingly potent ability to derive profound understanding from what the Zeist had dismissed as trivialities. The story of the hobbyist defense, as it came to be known, spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Galactic intelligence agencies, which had previously focused on military installations and official government communications, suddenly found themselves tasking analysts with monitoring human online gaming forums, model-building communities, speculative fiction websites, and even knitting circles, just in case. Who knew what terrifying insights might be lurking in a collaboratively written Starship manual for a game, or a perfectly scaled model of an alien battlecruiser built in someone's garage? The scientists on Icebox Alpha were baffled by the sudden high-level commendations they received. They'd just been having fun, passing the time. They had no idea their games had saved a star system and thrown a galactic superpower into existential turmoil. The Zeist never fully recovered. Their rigid logic could not process the event. They saw human hobbies no longer as wasteful, but as a form of distributed, almost accidental, strategic superintelligence, more potent and far less predictable than any conventional espionage. The hive mind began to obsessively analyze every piece of human recreational data they could acquire, searching for patterns, for threats, for the next game that might inexplicably predict their downfall. The universe for the Zeist had suddenly become a much more confusing and dangerous place, and it was all because a few humans, on a cold, lonely moon, had decided to play with toys.